welcome to First Unitarian Church in New Bedford. I am Reverend Karen LeBlanc, and I minister to this congregation as we minister to each other. Welcome this morning. We are a beloved community of people who believe that everyone is worthy of respect, that science is real, the democratic process is a sacred thing, that we are all part of an interconnected web, and that the light and energy that we share and put out makes a difference in this world. We are people of purpose here, and if what you hear today resonates with you, well, you might want to consider becoming part of this way cool community of seekers and keepers of this very long dream that is this church. First Unitarian Church in New Bedford recognizes that the land that we inhabit and enjoy sits on the unceded ancestral land of the Wampanoag, the people of the first light. We actively commit ourselves to the process of working to dismantle the legacy of colonialism and oppression of our country's native people and all who have been marginalized. A couple quick little notes. If you are new here and you want some more information about our church, you can fill out this handy-dandy blue card, and that will put you on our email list to receive our weekly and monthly newsletter. If you would like to join us for coffee hour after the service, it's right through that door. There's always good stuff and good conversation. We are streaming live. Good morning to our live streamer people. So please be aware of that as you come forward. And if you would please put your phones in worship mode, we're going to begin by lighting our chalice, and we've got a special little chalice lighting today because we have Alara, whose birthday it is tomorrow, and Brody, whose birthday it is on Tuesday, and they're going to light, the birthday kids will light our chalice together. Can we sing happy birthday for them instead of chalice words? All right, first you guys light the candle. All right, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lauren Brody. Happy birthday to you. All right, good job, guys. I hope you have a good one. May this flame, the symbol of transformation since time began, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage as we seek what is good within us and around us. The opening words this morning are by Arlen Goff, called Thresholds. Thresholds, we cross them every day, from room to room, from outside to inside and back again, from here to there, from anywhere to everywhere, from age to age. Each threshold offers an opportunity for change, for renewal, for transformation, from what we were and what we are to what we can be. In this hour and in this place, we cross a threshold from our day-to-day everydayness into space and time attuned to the other, to the sacred, to the holy, into an awareness of new life pregnant with possibilities. How will we be renewed this morning? How will we be changed by this hour? How will we be transformed through this gathering of beloved community? Come, you longing, thirsty souls, let us worship together. And now, if you will join me for our first hymn, number 21, Please rise as you are willing and able. Number 21. Take the time now to greet one another. And if you will remain standing, printed in your order of service is our covenant, and we will read that together now. We come together as a religious community, upholding freedom of conscience, right relationship, and the inherent worth of all people. We value our diversity and pledge to care for one another in the spirit of compassion, to speak and listen to each other with respect, and to promote justice and kindness in the world. Have a seat. And I will introduce Yasmin Flefle Vincent, our RE Director.
Good morning, everyone. The theme this month is transformation, and this is a really great story, not because it rhymes and it's easy for me to read, but it feels good, and I hope it can relate to everyone, no matter your age. This is The Magical Yet by Angela Di Terlizzi and illustrated by Lorena Alvarez. The Magical Yet. There are days when your dreams haven't come true, and you're upset by the things that you can't do. And if you lost or failed or cried just a bit, you're tired of waiting and you're ready to quit. Like that shiny new bike that you couldn't ride, and it didn't matter how hard you tried, and you couldn't pedal and you couldn't steer, and you just couldn't get that bike into gear. Then when you thought you were on the right track, you popped a wheelie and fell right on your back. And now you won't ride. No way, not ever. No riding for you. I'm fine. I'll walk forever. Don't give up now. There's a major game changer, a most amazing thought rearranger, someone to show you how good you can get. Now, let me introduce to you the magical Yet. With the Yet's magic, you can begin to see that you're going beyond where you've been. There are so many things that you learned to do when you didn't know the Yet was with you, like when you babbled before you could talk, or you crawled before you could walk. Yet is a dreamer, a schemer, a hoper, a trier, a maker, a doer, a gotta fly higher. This Yet finds a way even when you don't, and Yet knows you will when you think you won't. Like that shiny new bike that you couldn't ride, hop right back on, 'cause Yet is by your side. Yet doesn't mind warm-ups, fixes and flops, do-overs, redos, stumbles and stops. Yet knows there's mistakes, some big, some small. With Yet, you're sure to get over them all. Play the kazoo, play the bassoon, jam with the Yet, you'll soon be in tune. Try skateboarding tricks, like that ollie heel flip. This Yet can get you to the championship. Tongue twisters twisted your tongue in a knot, Yet says, keep trying and practice a lot. Be patient. Yet can't do it all overnight. Some things take days, months, or years to get right. But if you keep leaping, dreaming, wishing, waiting, learning, trying, missing, with the Yet as your guide, along the way, you'll do all the things you can't do today. Now you're bolder, you're braver, starting to see. With Yet, you can get where you want to be. You finally did it. Yet knew you could. You're not just riding, you're actually getting quite good. But don't stop now. You've got so much to do. The good news is, this Yet grows with you. So no matter how big or old you may get, you'll never outgrow and you'll never forget. You can always believe in the magic of Yet. And that's why you're here in our way cool sanctuary to transform and be the magical Yets. Thank you. May words we say be kind and true. May love be a guide in all we do.
I forgot to mention that it's also Annika. It was Annika's birthday yesterday, so they have two March. Oh, you said you have 3 March girls, right? And you. Wow, that tells us something. I love you guys. Now is the time in our service where we share with each other our joys, our sorrows, our concerns. If you have something you'd like to share, come on up, tell us your name, and please very briefly tell us what you'd like to share.
Hi, my name is Bethany. I have been texting now for a couple weeks via online dating platforms with a physician who is interested in exploring polyamory with me. I'm going to meet up with him on Tuesday. So.
If If you remember, we had poinsettias at Christmas, and I have some that have decided that my poinsettias, I have 2 that I brought home from Christmas, and now they've decided to grow again. And I don't know whether this is a good thing or a bad thing.
Ask Carol Kolick about the 5-foot-tall poinsettia plant that she has in her foyer. Seriously.
It's a good thing.
Yeah. It doesn't bloom anymore, but it is huge and beautiful.
Over this weekend, Izzy and I went to see his grandmother towards on the Cape, so we got to drive out. Now that we have a car, we can do that a lot more freely, and it's just great getting to spend time with his family.
So my grandma, she lives in Hyannis, and we were at her house because we were going to P-Town for a vigil for Aaron Bushnell, who was the guy in the Air Force who set himself on fire in protest. And it was put on by this awesome group called Food Not Bombs, who kind of hands away food for free for anyone who needs it. And it was the first time I think my grandmother had ever interacted with any sort of that type of person, because she's like in her conservative camp of people that she always interacts with. And it was just really awesome seeing like those worlds collide. And I really had to convince my grandma of it, because she was like, who are these people? And I was like, oh, you know, like the story of when Jesus multiplied the fish and bread and fed all those people? She was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, they're kind of like that, kind of. And she was like, oh, okay, oh, that's awesome. But I also just wanted to say that the vigil was awesome, and how, Aaron's sacrifice, I don't think was in vain or anything like that. But I also think it's funny how when something of note happens like this, you have people that think they're experts in psychoanalytics, and they can say that they're experts in anything. But I think I'm rambling now, but thank you for listening.
On that note, I read just before the service started that there are some ceasefire talks going on right now between Hamas and the Israelis going on in Egypt this morning as we are sitting here right now. So let's put that prayer for peace out into the universe where it needs to be. And I lit 2 final candles, as is our practice here, one for all the joys and the sorrows we keep in our hearts today, and one for everyone out there that has yet to find a supportive and loving community like this to share their concerns with. responsive reading this morning is in your gray hymnal number 556, 556. From our pal Ralph Waldo Emerson. I will read the plain type if you will enter with the italicized words. These roses under my window make no reference to former roses or to better ones. They are for what they are. They exist with God today. Before a leaf bud has burst, its whole life acts. In the full-blown flower, there is no more. In the leafless root, there is no less. But we postpone or remember. We do not live in the present, but with reverted eye lament the past, or heedless of the riches that surround us, stand on tiptoe to foresee the future. Now let us enter into the spirit of prayer and meditation. This is from John O'Donohue, for a new beginning. In out-of-the-way places of the heart where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you were ready to emerge. For a long time, it has watched your desire, feeling the emptiness growing inside you, noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown. It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the gray promises that sameness whispered, heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent, wondered, would you always live like this? Then the delight when your courage kindled, and out you stepped onto new ground, your eyes young again with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you. Though your destination is not yet clear, you can trust the promise of this opening. Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning that is at one with your life's desire. Awaken your spirit to adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find ease in risk. Soon you will be home in a new rhythm, for your soul senses the world that awaits you. Amen, and may it be so. Cool. Good old Beethoven. Second reading is from Jan Phillips. We are attendants at the wake of the old way, and each of us, through our actions, our thoughts, our work and relationships, is midwifing a new world into existence. This is our destiny, our meaning, our purpose. And when we come to our days with this awareness, we fully wake up to this tremendous privilege when we sense the oak in the acorn of our beings. Then we will have the energy to move mountains and shift tides. It is an illusion that we are powerless. It is an illusion that someone else is responsible. It is an illusion that we cannot transcend these dualities and differences that are making a mockery of democracy. We are the people. This is our world. Now we're going to try to sing this hymn. Tony Ann's going to help us. We don't usually do this, and it's really short. Be lamps unto yourselves, 184. 184, and it's only one line. It's attributed to Gautama Buddha. Be lamps unto yourselves, be your own confidence, hold to the truth in yourselves as to the only lamps. So we're going to try it. We'll see. Maybe you can play it through for us once to get the tune, Randy, and then we'll sing it through like 3 or 4 times maybe.
Unto yourselves, be your own confidence, hold to the truth within yourselves, as to the only lamp. Be lamps unto yourselves, be your own confidence, hold to the truth within yourselves, as to the only lamp. Be lamps unto yourselves, be your own confidence, hold to the truth within yourselves, as to the only lamp. Be lamps unto yourselves, be your own confidence, hold to the truth within yourselves, as to the only lamp.
Thank you. Please be seated. Now is the time in our service where we ask you for your very kind donations toward the many, many, many works that a church has to do. And we sure do appreciate your kind generosity. come to church just to hear that every week. Thank you, Randy. Our Soul Matters theme this month is transformation. Fitting topic as spring approaches. And though we still most certainly have some cold, wet, blustery days to contend with, we are beginning to see those first signs of spring returning, the signs of life, those beautiful little snowdrops in their little white jackets, dancing around in my yard between the sharp green points of tulips just barely poking through the ground and the long spears of daffodil leaves, all waiting their turn to emerge. This month is chock full of holidays from diverse cultures and religions. Then, of course, this is Women's History Month, International Women's Day on the 8th, and we've got a couple of fun secular holidays, of course, St. Patrick's Day, and the Nerd Fest, that is Pi Day on 3/14/314. I wrote a song about it. I'll sing it for you someday. On the 10th, the holy month of Ramadan begins for our Muslim friends. It commemorates the month in which the Quran was revealed to Muhammad as a guide for humanity. And for them, it's a time of fasting and prayer, reflection, and being in community. Our pagan brothers and sisters will celebrate the spring equinox on the 20th of this year, which some modern pagans call Ostara. And that is, of course, it's the equinox when the light and the dark are in balance again, with the light on the rise. It's a time of new beginnings and life emerging from the grips of winter. On the 23rd and 24th of this month, our Jewish neighbors celebrate Purim, commemorating the Jewish people being saved from annihilation as recounted in the book of Esther. And during this time of year, they go to synagogue, they listen to the book of Esther, they send food gifts to friends, give charity to the poor, and enjoy a big festive meal. Lots of these great holidays have festive meals. We love that. The Hindu Festival of Holi lands on the 25th of March this year. And this is a popular celebration. I'm sure you have at least seen pictures of or videos of this. And they call it the Festival of Colors, and they'll throw brightly colored powders at each other until everyone is a walking piece of art. And it's a celebration of spring and love, and it looks like a really, really fun party to go to. So if you get the chance to get invited to Holi, go. On the last day of this month, our Christian brothers and sisters will emerge from this season of Lent to commemorate Easter, when Jesus was resurrected after his death. It is the central holy day of the Christian liturgical year, and it's also become a secular time to celebrate the return of spring and the resurrection of the earth itself. Now, in one way or another, we can find themes of transformation in these stories at these holy times. And although we are driven to mark the changes in the natural world, it's the kind of transformation that takes place on the inside when we undergo these rituals. That's what makes these things sacred. Change is perpetual, one of the few things we can count on. And sometimes we embrace it wholeheartedly, and sometimes we shove it away with brute force. When thinking about transformation, I was drawn to an idea about how time affects our perception of change. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Nothing is secure but life transition, the energizing spirit. People wish to be settled, but only as far as they are unsettled is there any hope for them." It seems like we have a great rush of embracing change when we're young, right? A lot happens. So when is it exactly when we start to settle? I watched a TED Talk recently given by an American psychologist named Dan Gilbert. And his basic premise was that we humans have a fundamental misconception about the power of time. He says that no matter what stage of life we are in, quote, all of us are walking around with an illusion that is history. Our personal history has just come to an end, that we have recently become the person we were always meant to be and will be for the rest of our lives. He presents some interesting data that says, yes, change does slow down as we age, but not nearly as slow as we think. At every age, from 18 to 68 in this study he cites, people vastly underestimated how much change they would experience over the next 10 years. We make decisions all the time about our future selves that we will regret, right? I am on my third, and what I am certain is my last husband. I loved my tattoos for the first decade and a half that I have them. But what I'd really like to do now is to save up for bigger and better tattoos to cover these tattoos that I will regret 10 years from now. Because I'll definitely be that same person 10 years from now, right? See how we fool ourselves? Dan Gilbert's working hypothesis as to why we think like this is really interesting. He says it comes down to the ease of remembering versus the difficulty of imagining. He says, and I quote, most of us can remember who we were 10 years ago, but find it hard to imagine who we're going to be, and then mistakenly think that because it's hard to imagine, it's not likely to happen. Time is a powerful force. It transforms our preferences. It reshapes our values. It alters our personalities, right? And we seem to appreciate this, but only in retrospect. Only when we look backward do we realize how much change happens in a decade. It's as if for most of us, the present is a magic time, the moment we finally come to ourselves. Human beings are works in progress that mistakenly think they're finished all the time. The person that you are right now is as transient, as fleeting, as temporary as all the people you've ever been. The one constant thing in our life is change. It was a really cool video, and he's got a few other ones on the science of happiness and why we make really bad decisions. And it made me think a lot this week, not just about my bad decisions, but the idea that we prefer remembering to imagining, and that the present moment is always when we finally become ourselves. There's a 20th century American psychologist called Carl Rogers who might have tried to tie up Dan's thesis neatly when he said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." And that line rattled around in my brain for a few days. When I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Now, I love a good paradox. I have a cat named Schrodinger. Or do I? Little quantum mechanics joke for you there. Those go over so well. But is it really a paradox to say that once you accept yourself, you can finally change? I don't think so. If you or anyone you know has ever been through recovery for addiction of any kind, for instance, the place you start is with acceptance, right? You have to accept who you are right now because you cannot change until you do. I am Karen and I'm a churchaholic. So what do we take from all of this? How can we apply this to our lives? On a personal level, we can remember that change begins inside of us, like a bulb frozen in the ground in winter. We can't insist that it stay in the ground as much as we can't pull on the new shoots to make them grow faster. Things change and grow as they will, not as we will it. But it does always, always change. Transformation is happening constantly. It just seems like for some moments it stands still, and then during other moments it dances like a mad berserker. And although it's easy to remember, imagining is what brings positive change in our lives. So I wonder, can we apply this to some other situations in our larger world? We live in a time where the mad berserker is dancing a violent jig. Our politicians are at each other's throats. Wars erupt over centuries-long conflicts. People's rights are being taken away instead of expanded. Books are being banned and burned. History is being erased or rewritten. Truth is a matter of opinion. Nowhere is safe from gun violence, and our democracy is hanging by its dirty little fingernails. Scary, right? Parker Palmer, the American author and educator, said, "If American democracy fails, the ultimate cause will not be a foreign invasion or the power of big money or the greed and dishonesty of some elected officials or a military coup or the internal communist, socialist, fascist takeover that keeps some Americans awake at night. It will happen because we, you and I, became so fearful of each other, of our differences, and of the future that we unraveled the civic community on which democracy depends, losing our power to resist all that threatens it and call it back to its highest form." Love Parker Palmer. And he is right to a point. Our fears are our greatest weakness, the greatest threat to maintaining civility and civilization. Dehumanizing each other only brings us closer to some terrible changes that most of us do not want to see. But I also have great faith in the human spirit. And I can see the big picture, how Dan Gilbert's theory also works on a macro level. What we remember is easier than what we imagine. But imagining is what can be the most important part of transformation and progress. Howard Zinn reminds us to be hopeful in bad times is not just foolishly romantic. It is based on the fact that human history is a history not only of cruelty, but of compassion, sacrifice, courage, kindness. What we choose to emphasize in this complex history will determine our lives. If we see only the worst, it destroys our capacity to do something. If we remember those times and places, and there are so many, where people have behaved magnificently, this gives us the energy to act, and at least the possibility of sending the spinning top of a world in a different direction. And if we do act in however a small way, we don't have to wait for some grand utopian future. The future is an infinite succession of presents, and to live now as we think human beings should live, in defiance of all that is bad around us, is itself a marvelous victory. Let us remember, church, that time reshapes everything. Our past is important, but gone. Our present is the best time there is right now, and that what we can still imagine and create is what our future will become. So come on, girls, boys, others in between. May we continually imagine all the small ways that we can transform our lives, our world, this planet. Let it give us all some hope. We desperately need the hope. Take it with you, send it out, spread it everywhere you go. Amen. And now, my friends, sing with me. Oh, this is going to be in our teal hymnal, so if you don't have one in your pew, you might need to snatch one up. Number 1028, 1028, 1028.
And this one, pay attention to this particular song because it's going to be in a very odd kind of meter.
It is.
In fact, you might see it as 5/4, but I think the more layman's term for this meter is the Mission Impossible meter. Bow, 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 bow. Light of days remembered.
That's
burns.
right.
So you can think of it that way. It's not going to be counted in your typical, four on the floor way.
Please rise as you are willing and able.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
May you leave this time together changed. May the promises you have made to yourself about who you want to be feel closer to the reality of who you are right now. May you share that feeling of transformation wherever you go. May it spread into every word, deed, thought, and interaction until we are all changed, transformed, and transforming together, becoming our better selves. That was from Emily Richard. Next week, my friends, we will have Reverend Ann Fox here. Don't forget, next week is Daylight Saving Time. The week after that is the half marathon down here that surrounds our church, so you can't get in, you can't get out. So we will not have a live service that day, but I will be providing an online service for you that day about the great Polly Murray, so please tune in to that. Okay. Hold fast, my church. We love you. Stay strong. Live long and prosper. Go in peace. Come on and get some coffee with me.